So continuing on with task 20, we're now going to move on to looking at some of the chemical observations in our urine sample that we collected. So I have a clean wee pad. I have a timer because some of these range from reading at 30 seconds up to like a minute or 120 seconds, excuse me. I have my urinalysis reagent strips, which is actually very useful. So you put a drip of urine on each of the little squares on the strip, and then as you can see, you can get a whole lot of information. We get glucose, bilirubin, ketones, a specific gravity, any occult blood, pH, proteins, nitrates, leukocytes, etc. So it's a very informative strip that gives us a lot of information in a small amount of time for a urinalysis. So I have my reagent strips, I have my urine sample, and I have my pipette to put my urine sample onto each box on the strip, a pen in case I need it. I'm going to zoom in on this as I do it, and then I'll zoom back out as I do the readings, and then I'm going to put the information into the computer up here. As you see, I already have pulled up for Taz. We already put in kind of our physical observations in here. So on the left hand side over here is where I'm going to be putting all of my information that I'm about to get off of my reagent strip for my urinalysis. So I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in just a little bit so you can see me putting a little bit of urine on each of the strips. And then we'll start our timer and we'll start doing our readings. So I'm just going to take out one of these strips. And again, the ones we're gonna, when we line it up, we want to do the bottom first, and basically this strip all the way at the bottom, you line up with your ID band, and then each strip is gonna coincide with the way it is up on the actual bottle itself. So I'm just gonna take the cap off of my urine. I'm just gonna put the urine in my pipette, and then I'm just gonna transfer a little drop onto each of the actual squares on my reagent strip. So again, you just need one drop on each little square. Okay, put my cap back on my urine, and then we're going to go ahead and we're just going to start the timer, and that's going to slowly just count up. And as you can see, I got a little bit of urine on each of those strips, and they're just going to start changing colors as time goes on, and we'll start reading everything at 30 seconds. So I'm just going to put my camera, we're going to zoom back out, and I'm going to put my camera back up here, and as the test goes on, I'm just going to be reading the sample and importing it into the patient's record on the left hand side. Okay. Okay, so it's been about 30 seconds, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use this as my guide, and I'm going to start reading from the bottom up, because anywhere from 30 seconds on you can start reading from the bottom up. So we're going to line up our bottom over here. So the first thing we have is going to be our glucose. So I'm going to go over here, and we're going to find where our glucose is, which is right here. And so for our glucose, we are negative. So I'm going to leave it at 0 because we are negative. Next, you have the bilirubin, which again, in comparison to all of the other colors on here, is negative. So then for our bilirubin over here, we're just going to leave it at 0 because it's negative. Next up, we have our ketones. Ketones, if there is a number, is also going to be measured in milligrams per deciliter, which over here it is looking like it is going to be negative as well. So ketones, we're going to leave at 0 because it's negative. And excuse me, also down at the bottom, the glucose is also measured in milligrams per deciliter. Moving on, we're going to go to specific gravity. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So specific gravity, we do have a little color change on here, so we're going to move it over. And on here, it's coming as the color is pretty much lining up with 1.030, which actually matches what we got on our refractometer, because if you remember, we had 1.040 on the refractometer, so that matches. So for specific gravity on here, we're also just going to put 1.030 over here, which again is a normal range for dogs. Next up, we're going to go to our occult blood level, which is negative. So over here for blood, we're going to leave it at 0 because it's negative. Next up for our pH, looks like we are at a color of pH is going to be 6.0. Sorry, trying to match it up for you. All right, so pH is going to be about 6.0, matches pretty nicely. So we're going to go up here. So we're going to find protein, and we're going to say right here for our protein 6.0. Again, that's a normal range for a dog. Anywhere from about 5.8 to about 8.5 is normal pH for a dog. Going up, we're moving up to proteins, and proteins is negative. So we're going to find our proteins over here, and we're going to leave it at 0 because it's negative. Going up next, we have our urobilinogen. So that is actually at 0.2-ish. So we're going to say 0.2, which is a normal range. Last couple ones up here, we have our nitrates, which is no color change at all, so that's negative. So we're going to check off this box right here for negative. And then last but not least, we have our leukocytes in the urine test that we generally do dogs only. There's no color noted, so that's going to be negative. So up here, we're just going to say negative. All right, so we have all of our information in here. We're going to go ahead and save that. We're going to exit. This way it saves in the record. I'm just going to place this down, and then we're just going to zoom back out. Okay. I'm just going to throw this in the trash because we don't need it anymore. So that is how we look at the chemical observations of our urine sample. So if you just give me a moment, I'm going to get all my supplies ready. And to continue on with task 20, we're going to be doing a urine sediment in-house.